The story begins with a boy named Asoro Korosu, who was utterly fed up with his life. One night, while lying in bed, he accidentally made a hole in the wall and fell to the ground. As he stood up, he noticed light coming through the hole and peeked through it, only to see a beautiful girl named Rio, who was eating her meal. From that day on, Asoro frequently spied on Rio through the hole. One day, Asoro found it hard to see clearly through the hole, so he decided to sneak to Rio's door to get a better look. However, a girl outside saw him, and panicking, Asoro pretended to be busy with something else. The girl left some food on the lower floor for her brother and walked away. Asoro, being unemployed and hungry, sneaked downstairs to steal the food, but Rio caught him. They started talking, and Rio invited him to join her for a meal. When Asoro entered her room, he noticed the same hole above Rio's book table. They shared a meal, and Asoro complimented her cooking. Rio told him he could come over anytime for food, making Asoro very happy. Over time, Asoro started falling for Rio, believing that no one could be better than her. However, one night, he decided not to spy on her anymore, but he couldn't resist for long. Peeking through the hole again, he was shocked to see another man in Rio's room, and then Rio suddenly beheaded the man and laughed like a maniac. Asoro was terrified and knocked a book over, covering the hole. He couldn't believe that the innocent-looking Rio could kill someone. Later, when Asoro was thinking about the horrifying incident, Rio knocked on his door, bringing him food. She seemed to be falling for Asoro as well, and she said they would have dinner in his room that night. After eating, Asoro removed the book covering the hole and looked at Rio again, thinking it might have been his imagination. But then, he noticed another woman named Miji, making him even more suspicious of Rio. The next morning, as he was going to do laundry, Rio offered him her washing machine, and they planned to have dinner together again that night. Remembering the previous night's incident, Asoro tried to convince himself that it was just a misunderstanding because he liked Rio a lot. That night, as he was setting the dinner table, he heard strange noises from Rio's room. He peeked through the hole again and saw Rio brutally killing another man. This time, Asoro realized it was not his imagination, and he started screaming. Rio heard him and chased him with a knife. Asoro ran to the rooftop to escape, but Rio followed him there too. Rio asked how Asoro found out her secret, and he nervously confessed his love for her, asking why she kills people. Rio, with a knife to his neck, asked for his final wish. Asoro said he wanted Rio to be his girlfriend, and she responded by licking the blood off his face and kissing him, agreeing to be his girlfriend. Afterward, Asoro found a job at a departmental store, and while opening boxes with a blade, he remembered how Rio could open people with much larger blades, making him nervous. The next morning, Rio took Asoro to her college and introduced him to her friends as her boyfriend. Asoro felt butterflies in his stomach and thought about enrolling in the same college to protect Rio from other boys. However, Rio reminded him that she doesn't need protection, as she kills people herself every night, revealing she is a serial killer. Asoro asked her how long she would continue doing this, but Rio didn't answer. One day, while walking with Asoro, Rio wore a raincoat and suddenly started killing people in the street. Whenever she felt someone deserved to die, she would go out and kill them. This habit disturbed Asoro, and he asked her why she killed people and if she had any personal grudge against those she murdered. Rio explained that she had a list of bad people she was killing one by one. Hearing this, Asoro thought to himself that his girlfriend was actually good, as she only killed bad people, and he felt foolish for thinking otherwise. Eventually, Asoro fell so deeply in love with Rio that he couldn't see any flaw in her. The next day, Asoro read the newspaper and was surprised that there was no news about Rio's murders. After work, he met a boy named Kawasaki, whose food Asoro used to steal. Later, Asoro met Kawasaki's sister, Haruko, and he didn't charge her for groceries because she had helped him before. When Asoro returned home, he saw that Rio had left him a message, asking him to meet her at 10 p.m. Asoro cleaned up and waited until 10 p.m., but then he heard noises from Rio's room. Peeking through the hole, he saw Kawasaki tied up, and Rio was about to kill him. Asoro shouted for her to stop, but Rio told him to watch silently. She killed Kawasaki in one swift move. Soon after, Miji arrived with her crew and cleaned up the room, leaving no trace of the murder. Asoro, terrified, ran to his room. The next morning, Rio knocked on his door, but Asoro didn't open it, so Rio entered through the balcony, trying to hug him. However, Asoro didn't respond warmly, so she left. The next day, Asoro met Haruko, who asked about her brother. Suddenly, Rio appeared on the balcony and invited Haruko to her room to wait for her brother. Asoro managed to dissuade Haruko from going to Rio's room. After Haruko left, Asoro asked Rio if she was planning to kill Haruko too, but Rio said no. The next day, Haruko messaged Asoro asking him to meet her at a coffee shop to discuss something about her brother. However, a black van suddenly appeared, and some people, including Miji, abducted Asoro. In the van, Asoro told Miji that Haruko was looking for her brother, to which Miji laughed, saying that a dead man could never be found. Later, Asoro met Haruko at the coffee shop, where she told him that her brother had been missing for days, and she had filed a police complaint. They went together to the landlord to open Kawasaki's room. When they entered, Asoro was shocked to see everything was spotless. Relieved, he left with Haruko. While returning home, Asoro saw a man walking with his hand on Rio's shoulder. That night, during dinner, Asoro asked Rio about the man, but instead of answering, Rio told him to stay away from Haruko. The truth was that both of them were jealous of each other. Suddenly, Rio threw her food in anger, so Asoro tried to comfort her by hugging her from behind. He tried to kiss her, but Rio stopped him by pressing chopsticks against his neck. The next day, Asoro met Haruko again, who told him that she was better than Rio and that he should be with her instead. She also warned him that Rio would never change for him. Before leaving, Haruko said she would wait for his answer the next day. As Asoro was heading home, some gangsters abducted him and took him to their hideout. Their leader ordered Asoro to convince Rio to keep killing, but Asoro refused, and they beat him up badly before releasing him. When Asoro returned home, he and Rio had a fight. Asoro begged her to stop killing people, but Rio refused, leading to their breakup. Despite the breakup, Asoro continued to watch Rio through the hole, and she kept killing people. However, instead of laughing after each murder, Rio started crying, making Asoro realize that she was doing it under pressure from the gangsters to protect him. Angered, Asoro ran to the gangsters' hideout and confronted the leader, demanding they stop threatening Rio. He then attacked the gangsters with a knife, but being inexperienced in fighting, they quickly overpowered him and were about to kill him when a gas grenade rolled in, filling the room with smoke. Rio, wearing a raincoat and mask, arrived to save Asoro. To protect Asoro, Rio killed all the gangsters without hesitation. Afterward, she helped Asoro onto a sofa. Asoro asked why she didn't laugh after killing them, and Rio replied that she no longer enjoyed it. This made Asoro happy, and he kissed her, thinking she would stop killing from now on. However, moments later, Rio stabbed him in the stomach, laughing as she confessed that she always wanted to watch her love die. She said, "I love you" to Asoro, and he replied with, "I love you too," before collapsing. Later, Rio met Miji and told her she was leaving the city, adding that Asoro would never spy on her through the hole again. Suddenly, a wounded Asoro appeared, walking with the help of crutches. It turned out that Rio hadn't killed him, only knocked him out. In the end, Asoro and Rio set off on a new journey together, and Rio promised never to kill anyone again. So, do you think Rio has really changed? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.